everybody, it's me, Tess, with Tess Loves Yarn. And you guys, I am here today to show you my favorite tips and tricks for making the perfect granny square. And when I say the perfect granny square, I'm telling you, I really mean it. Look at these granny squares. They are absolutely perfect. There you go. And I have some bigger ones. Oh my goodness, look at these. Look at that. That is the perfect granny square, right? And I am going to show you exactly how I did this. And I think you're going to be pretty excited, especially if you love making granny squares as much as I do. So I am going to flip this camera down and we are going to get into it. I am going to show you so many things, and I hope it will make you go, wow. So, anyway, let me turn this camera down and we'll get into it, okay? Thanks, everybody. Okay, so here we have the supplies that we need to do this granny square, okay? I have my hook that I'm going to crochet my square with. I have a smaller hook, a 3mm hook, that we're going to use to secure our ends, to help secure our ends, we'll say it that way, and then a little pair of yarn scissors. And this is the color scheme I'll be using. I got this color scheme from the Color Cube by Sarah Renee Clark. It's cards like this. It gives you some colors. All the colors match and coordinate, and you can just match up your colors here. So I didn't actually use this exact card. I used another one with spring colors, but I put it back in the box and I don't know which one it was. But you get 2 boxes of these. They're $60. They're kind of pricey, but I use them all the time for all of my projects. And they're great for granny squares because they give you 5 coordinating colors. And a traditional granny square is 5 rounds, and traditionally you change colors. So that's why I use it. I will have a link for that below. Um, I honestly don't know if I'm an affiliate or not. I don't know. I don't think I get anything if you use the link, but I might. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. I love it. So, if you want to go check it out, I'll have a link below. All right. So, the yarn I'm using is I Love This Yarn by Hobby Lobby. It's $4.99, but every other week it goes on sale for 30% off, and then it is only $3.50. So we are going to jump into these tips and tricks that I always use when I make my granny squares. And y'all know I love my granny squares. Love them, love them, love them. So the first tip or trick, I'm going to call this one a trick. You do not need to make a fancy magic circle or magic ring. You don't need to chain 4 and connect your chains to make a circle. No, you don't have to do any of that stuff. Just make a regular old slip knot, just a regular old slip knot. That's all you need to do, just like this. Okay? Now, after you make your slip knot, pull on that tail, the end of your yarn, and make sure that that tightens up. Okay? If this doesn't tighten up, you didn't make your slip knot correctly. And it has to be the tail end that makes your circle tighten up. Okay? So I'm going to try to get some more light in here, you guys. it is morning, but I'm not having a lot of sunlight coming in. All right, so this is your next tip, and probably most of you know this. I like a tighter fabric. You can see my square is pretty solid, and it's a traditional granny square. It's not a solid granny square, but yet it's still pretty solid. That is because my yarn calls for a 5.5 mil hook, and I went down to a 5 mil hook, and I will continue to tell you these little things as we go. But most of you probably know, go down to a smaller hook, you get a tighter fabric, right? All right, so next tip, start your round with a standing double crochet. Now, a standing double crochet is very easy to do. You do not put your hook through the circle yet. You're going to take your hook, you're going to wrap it around your yarn twice, just like this. Then you're going to go through your circle, hanging on to the circle the entire time. You're going to pull up a loop. And now you have 3 loops on your hook, just like making a regular double crochet. You're going to yarn over, you're going to take off 2 loops, you're going to yarn over, and you're going to take off 2 more loops. And look at that, you have a real double crochet. I never chain 3. They don't look like a double crochet, and I feel like it just stands out in my granny square projects. Okay, so now remember to keep your little circle open like this. You're gonna have this little double right here. Don't worry about it. Okay, you're just gonna keep crocheting. So now we're gonna do 2 more double crochets because we already did 1, and that is a real double crochet. That's not something standing in the place of one. Okay, the next thing I do to get a tighter fabric weave is I only chain 1 in my corners. And when you do a traditional granny square, you're making corners in round 1 and 2, well, all your rounds, but round 1 you're just making corners. Okay, so I do 3 double crochets, I chain 1, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets again, and I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to do 3 double crochets again, and I'm going to chain 1. Now these are granny square clusters. Clusters are 3 not 3 granny squares. I'm tired, y'all. It's early. I'm doing 3 double crochets because that is what a cluster is. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what you want. You want 4 clusters of 3 double crochets, and then we're going to chain 1 again because we're going to join over here. So we're going to take this tail end of our slip knot and we're going to pull it closed. We're just going to pull it until this cinches up. Just like that. Look at how nice that is. Cinches right up. Now, the next tip is a lot of people crochet and they don't really know what the stitch actually looks like. I know that sounds funny, but it's really true. Your double crochet stitches look like the letter P. So you're going to have your column right here, go straight up, and then you're going to have your loop right here. it's always going to look like a letter P. So this is not part of this double crochet. This one is. And then you're going to follow up the next one, and that's your letter P here. And then you're going to follow up this one, and this is your letter P here. So we are going to join right there because you join to your first double crochet. So I'm just going to come in here. Sometimes I have to use my fingernail to join because my hands don't always work. I have RA, so don't mind me. You're just gonna make a slip stitch just like that, and you're gonna chain one, and you don't need a lot of a tail, and I'm gonna tell you why. You just need 2 or 3 inches, and that's it. Okay, so now we have our very first round completed. We're gonna pull through, okay, and there you can see we have our rounds completed. Now I am switching over to my regular color. I use the lighter color because the darker color yarn wasn't showing up very well, and I wanted you to see what I was doing, okay? So we're going to move on to round 2 now, all right? And the thing that you need to do when you begin a new round, I'm just taking off some yarn here. When you begin a new round, you want to start where you left off. Now, a lot of people don't like starting where they left off, but I always start where I left off, and I'm going to show you why, okay? It's because when I secure my ends, I need these ends to be next to each other, all right? So I'm going to start off by doing a standing crochet, double crochet, and I'm going to show you again how to do that, okay? Do not put your hook in yet. First, you're going to wrap your yarn twice. Then you're going to put your hook through that chain one space. You're going to pull up a loop. You're going to have 3 loops, and make sure you're holding your tail down or you will lose your stitch, okay? Hold your tail until you make your second double crochet. Then you can let go of the tail. So here we go. 1, 2, we have our double crochet. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to make my second in this cluster, and now I can let go of this tail, okay? I do not need this tail anymore, all right? I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to make my last double crochet right there, okay? Now what I'm going to do, and I do this for the tighter weave, I'm going to yarn over. I am not going to chain. I'm going to skip right over into that next chain one space, and I'm going to continue on with my corner. Don't worry about this. We're going to finish this corner at the end. So I'm going to make my 3 double crochet clusters. I'm going to chain 1 for the corner. That is the only time you will chain, is in the corner, okay? And now I'm going to make 3 more double crochets because this is making our square. All right, there we go. Now, once again, I'm just going to jump right over and start making my double crochets. Okay, so we're going to do our first cluster of 3 double crochets, then we're going to chain 1, And then we're going to make our second cluster of 3 double crochets. Okay, oops, just took too many off there. Okay, I'm gonna get some more yarn here. Sorry about that. Okay, now we're going to skip over and we're going to complete this corner, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our very first corner. Okay, going to chain 1. Now a lot of people chain 2 or 3 in the corners. I don't do that. It makes your corner spaces really huge. You can see they're big enough just with one chain. So that's just me. That's what I like. All right, now we're going to skip over here and we are going to make another cluster to finish this corner. Okay. Oops. Knocking things over, everybody. Okay. That's 2. That's 3. And then we're going to chain 1. And we're going to find our letter P's. And we're going to go in and we're going to slip stitch in the top of that stitch. Whoops. Lost my stitch there. Hang on a sec. Here it is. Oop, lost it again. That's my hands not working early in the morning. There we go. Okay, almost lost that. If you lose your loop, just stick your hook back in. See, just like this. Just stick your hook back in and keep going. There we go. All right, now we're going to chain 1, and once again you're just going to leave a little tail. You don't need much. Okay, and we're going to tighten that up, and here is our square so far. And through the magic of YouTube, I have created the rest of the rounds, and I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. One of these tricks is how to fix a skipped stitch. You notice in this square, I only have 2 double crochets instead of our 3 double crochets for this cluster. I'm going to show you right now how to fix that without ripping out your square, without frogging, without starting over. Okay? We are going to fix this and nobody is going to know the difference. All right, let's get some yarn here. So what you're going to do is you're going to start from the bottom of the stitch, and I'm going to make a standing double crochet again. So once again, before you insert your hook, you're going to yarn over twice. You're going to hold your tail, okay, and we're going to go into the bottom of that stitch and back out right here. Okay, going to yarn over, holding your tail here so you don't lose your yarn, and we're going to make that standing double crochet. Just hang on to this tail. Okay, now up here where your other double crochet should have been, we're going to come in right here and we are going to slip stitch. Okay, just like this. Going to slip stitch right there. we're going to chain 1, and we are going to cut our yarn. And you don't need a lot, just a little tail. Okay, just like that. All right, and so this is what we have, which you can see looks just like our other clusters. Okay, now to secure these ends is very, very simple. Okay, you're going to pull your yarn up to the top, and we are going to make a fisherman's knot. Now these knots are very secure, they don't come undone, and you can cut them really close to the knot. So it is, and you have to do it in the correct order or it won't work. You have to do right over the left yarn and make your knot, and pull that tight, y'all. Pull it tight, okay? And then you're going to do left over right. So don't get your ends confused or your knot will not stay. Now you can cut this right up next to your knot, and your knot is going to be hidden now underneath your stitches right here. Okay, you just got to pull them over just like this. And there you have it. You have fixed that that skipped double crochet, and now your project is completed. You don't have to rip it out or do it over. Okay, now I'm going to show you again how to do these ends. Okay, we have our yarn at the back, our ends. You're going to pull them up. You're going to do right over left, just like this, and pull a tight knot. And then you're going to do left over right, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to make a very tight knot, and you're going to cut the yarn very close to that knot, and then the stitches will cover that knot, just like that. Okay, now you're going to do that with all of them. I'll show you one more time. Right over left, pull tight, left over right, pull tight, cut your ends, and just pull that yarn over the knot. Nobody's ever going to see it. Okay, now here's an instance where we have two ends, but they're not right next to each other. You need these ends to be next to each other to do this little trick. So what I do is I take my smaller hook. I'm really not sure the name of this hook. My dear sweet friend Deborah Knotts, who I visited up in Inverness, Scotland. We met up there when I went to the UK in May. She gifted me a whole set of these. So what I'm using to crochet the square is a Furls 5mm, and what I use all the time, this is my favorite hook right here. I use this all the time to thread my yarn next to each other. So if it doesn't for some reason come out right next to each other, it's not a problem at all. You just take your smaller hook and you go in through the stitches and you grab your yarn, you pull it through, okay? And you want to be right next to it, so we're going to pull it through one more time, I'm going to go right under these stitches right here, and always do this on the back of your project, okay? You always want to do your tying your ends and everything, always do those on the back of your project. So this is the back side, and you can tell that because it looks differently. Your stitches do not look the same as your front side. You see that? See how these stitches look in the front? This is the back side. Okay, so now we have our yarn right next to each other, and we can do this little trick. And I've been doing this for a long time. I wash my granny square projects. These knots do not come out if you make them correctly. Okay, so right over left, pull it tight, and left over right, and pull it tight. And then you just snip those tails right off. There's no weaving anything in, and the knot disappears underneath your stitches right here. So you would just go through and do all of your knots that way, okay? Now for your very end knots, if you are making something, of course you're going to be sewing these together, right? And so I don't worry about the knot showing at the very top, because I'm going to be sewing these together, and that's a knot at the very top is not going to show when I sew them together. Okay, so when I come up here to the top, I'm still going to make sure that my yarn is right next to each other. And I'm going to use my little hook that I love. I'm going to pull that tight. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do right over left. Pull it tight. And then we're going to do left over right. And pull it tight. Clip our yarn tails. And then when you sew these together, you won't even be able to tell this, okay? So one more time, right over left, pull it tight, and left over right, pull it tight, and clip your tails. And you can clip these tails right up next to the knot. They're not going to go anywhere, okay? And then we're going to have all of our granny squares here. As you can see, I have quite a few already, and I have a stack over here because hopefully my next video will be to show you how to make a cardigan out of granny squares without a pattern and for any body size and shape. Okay, so stay tuned for that video. Please leave me a comment below and let me know if any of these tips or tricks were helpful for you, and let me know which one you like the best. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera around and just say a few more things, and that's going to be the end of the video. So hang on one second while I flip the camera around, and I'll be right back. Thanks, everybody. Okay, was your mind blown? I hope that you can at least pick up at least one new thing from this video, if not more. And that will help you make the perfect granny square, because I am going to show you guys how to use these granny squares to make a cardigan to fit any body size. Any.
teeny tiny, medium, large, extra large, and beyond. All right, so stay tuned for that video. It's going to be coming very soon, and it's going to be super exciting. Yeah. So I hope all of you really enjoyed this video. If you did, and you are new to my channel, I would be tickled pink if you'd hit that subscribe button. If you are a returning subscriber, oh my gosh, you guys know how much I appreciate you and how much gratitude I have in my heart for each and every one of you. So, with that all said, please leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite tip or trick was in this video. All right? And as always, be kind and be safe out there in the world, no matter where you are. And I will see you all next week in a brand new video. Thank you, everybody. Bye.